Grandmama used to pray, oh Lord, please save them from the evil snares and all the dangers that entangle. Yea, though they walking through the valley of the shadows, just prepare and make them fit for every battle, because I know they bound to come, and I know they bound to fall, but in your bounty, Lord, preserve their beautiful. Right, we still surviving off of grandma's prayers, surrounded by the jungle and the lion's den. Tread light, cause these traps is inconspicuous. They hide right in plain sight, thinking we don't see them when they linger. Look right beneath the surface, then leave a trail of corpses. Crisis, prices, your life a disposable commodity, like living in a fantasy, conditioned to believe that the system even cares whether selling CDs or walking or driving or reading. Look, they don't even need a reason. It's just you breathing and being black. When it's such a pretty fall, it don't seem like we falling at all, at all. It's just a GMO dream, where things are never really what they seem. Please cue the violins, tell them just to play me something pretty, cause this gritty city got me screaming bloody murder. Said it got me screaming. This gritty city got me on some. Look, get your hand up on my pocket. Distraction, so lazy they use the same tactics, like condom with some trinkets. Just don't let them get to thinking. That light bulb gets a blinking. You know niggas and ideas. Oh dear, my dear, you may not know me, but I know you very well. Foresight, they say hindsight is 2020. Well, tell me something, we gotta see that history is on repeat, and maybe it takes the beat and the melody to speak a little louder than the message in the clouds or the essence in the air. I swear, my God is just so clear that a system driven by fear can never give us nothing but more of the same things. Oh, when it's such a pretty fall, it don't seem like we falling at all. It's just a GMO dream, where things are never really what they seem. Please cue the violins, tell them just to play me something pretty, cause this gritty city got me screaming. It's murder. Got me screaming, got me. This gritty city got me on some.
Now, why would a dictator do that? Why would he make his number one priority when he took over as dictator to disarm the public? The Second Amendment is there, and it was put in there not for hunting and fishing like they like to say. It was put in there so the citizens would have the ability, if their government became oppressive, they could defend themselves against oppressive government. And I think that overrules all the gun deaths, because let's remember something. A gun is simply a tool. People kill people.
Surely we be ready once that war has gotten heavy. Kept them burners by the bevy. Turn that defense to confetti. Steady aiming where your children at. Damage where you building that. Annihilate you from the map. This is more than just a rap. Presidents crying over babies don't move me. But they've been killing babies worldwide. You can't fool me. Just another tactic to take us off our axis. That routine practice to keep us on snooze. Everyone's associated. I don't watch the news. Claiming I'm affiliated. I don't know them dudes. I just keep it front line, 12 gauge shot rhyme, aim for the head, make sure the shoulder don't bruise. I choose freedom over cake and find royalties, even for the sake to integrate in popularity. Just for more clarity, you ain't really scaring me. It's really no surprise to anyone with open eyes to this. Demagogue, label you an outlaw, confiscate your gun law, come into your crib then pinned up, got your family hemmed up, even with your chin up, you can't feel your manhood. Slowly turn around and tell your family get down. No one make a sound and put your face into the ground. Anything said again, we pump that hot lead again. This is all American, take that back. Simple question, we don't manufacture weapons. How we get them Smith & Wessons, how they circulate the hood. They bring them here in boats, mainly for the youth to toast and them pigs to get them yoke. We have a vigil, all good. But I'm from school of fist fights, jump you if you seem psych. Ruger AK just in case they want my birthright. Damn right, NRA is in the bed with government. Same aim, same damn name, same covenant. Media, working overtime to put the fear in ya. Church praying hard, but that blonde ain't really hearing ya. Area, a war zone for all the wrong wrong reasons, and other countries killed for lacking water in their region. Squeezing, imitating Scarface and Al Capone. Time for battle and they'll be hiding till the smoke's gone. Had them dogs at your door like a 64. Hope he missed pointless, he never missed before. Demagogue, label you an outlaw, confiscate your gun law, come into your crib then pinned up, got your family hemmed up, even with your chin up, you can't feel your manhood. Slowly turn around and tell your family get down. No one make a sound and put your face into the ground. Anything said again, we pump that hot lead again. This is all American, take that back. Plan for civil war, and if you ask me, the blueprint, mandatory weapon for the family. Candidly, Nat Turner, burner most amicably, make his soul go from the flow to the canopy. Some say I'm violent and I should stay silent. Meanwhile, strippers have a right to defend ourselves, but my team keep the magazines clean with the hollow keys, red, black, and green bandanas on the shelves. Combat boots for the soldiers, all 12s. Comedic lexicon over prepaid cells. This is why they terrified, fear that we'll get unified. Realize the war is on us and break hell. And of course, they'll offer support when it's popping off. Give you proper transport, show you to the Holocaust. It's a siege outside, no man is safe from. You can hide, but you can't run. Mazel tov. Demagogue, label you an outlaw, confiscate your gun law, come into your crib and pinned up, got your family hemmed up, even with your chin up, you can't feel your manhood. Slowly turn around and tell your family get down. No one make a sound and put your face into the ground. Anything said again, we pump that hot lead again. This is all American, take that back.
Yo, what's happening, Dhoruba Bin Wahad? How you feeling, brother?
I'm fine, brother. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good. How you doing?
Man, trying to be as cool as you. I see you got the fisherman hat on, you know what I mean? Like you out there, you know, cooling or something. I'm trying to figure out, you know, how
I
you
don't know.
moving. You good?
I don't know about fishermen, man, but yeah,
Had
I'm
to
good.
check.
I'm good. I'm yeah, I guess I'm good.
Okay. All right. Sound like you in the war zone. Um,
Yeah, man. It's deep,
no
you
doubt, no
know.
doubt. Yeah. Well, welcome to America. Welcome to imperialism. Anyway, glad to have you on today, riding shotgun. This is twice in a row. You know what I mean? Last week we had Dr. Cornel West, Dr. Jill Stein on talking about this United Front program. For folks who are unfamiliar, can you give the audience a little brief background before we bring our guests on today on
Your
what this
background
National United
on
Front
the
is?
on the United Front?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Um, you know, I decided that when I was out in LA that I was speaking to a Muslim audience. I was speaking in the masjid there in LA, and I've been mulling over the reality of the historical moment that we're in, this particular period of time that we're in, and the confluence of forces that are coming together both internationally and nationally, and it's clear to me, and became clear. Of course, it's been clear. I think it's clear to a lot of people that there's no there's no real serious unified pushback against against the white supremacist construct that is democratic fascism in America. There is no unified pushback or alternative to the duopoly political parties, the duopoly system of the Republicans and the Democratic parties on an electoral level. On the activist level, in terms of the movement, there is no really vibrant, unified a movement that embraces the interests of the um, um, myriads of African people, working people, people of color, women, in all manner of marginalized communities, all different marginalized communities, and and this is the type of situation. This is the type of historical moment uh, where it becomes evident that whatever our particular political differences may be, whatever many of us and I'm talking about on our side of the barricades now. I'm talking about on the left, radical, progressive, revolutionary side of the barricade. That there's no real pushback, there's no real organization, there's no real mass movement that could effectively mobilize our communities at the grassroots level to wage the type of class struggle that's necessary against the comprador classes that pimp our marginalization and our exploitation against the elite capitalist class in our community that exploits us and misuses us. And also, there's no real pushback against the U.S. government's sanctions against progressive peoples and suborning war abroad. So I said that, the current situation right now in America, uh, we can observe an influence of large corporations, moribund political processes, and this influence overshadows the voices of ordinary citizens and skews policies towards the interests of the wealthy elite. And coupled with the rise of fascist ideologies like the MAGA popularism and white evangelical ethno-jingoistic nationalism, anti-migrant racist popularism, and the U.S. militarized diplomacy abroad and militarized policing at home. All of these things indicate that we are in a proto-fascist moment, that we are in the beginnings of a fascist a takedown in America. And it's sad because the so-called American democracy has a built-in mechanism to protect the ruling class from majority rule, to protect the elites and the property classes from the will of the masses of people, and that's the electoral college system. And this system always kicks in whenever the elite and their interests are at stake, when there's a possibility that there's a mass uprising can occur, that people might decide that they want to change, a radical change in society to meet their needs and deal with those who are exploiting uh, working people. And there's a built-in mechanism to ensure that doesn't happen. And that's the electoral college system, which brings me to the issue right now of the moment, this election year. And this election year is unique in many respects. I think we could go over a dozen reasons why this is unique. That both duopoly, both reactionary or racist parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, are in a contest to the bottom. They're in a race to the bottom of morality, to the bottom of ethics, to the bottom of political sanity. We have on the right, on the relative right, we have an orange man, a convicted pervert and racist dog who has a popular following, MAGA following. We have on the near right, um, uh, uh, genocide Joe Biden, who is suborning perjury and genocide in Palestine, who is a proto, or I would say a born again racist. Um, so these two parties are totally irrelevant to the needs and aspirations of Black folks. But that's not the sum total of it, because it's not just about electoral politics. It's not just about putting forth a candidate and electing them, and everything is going to change. We're in a system, and we're under a nation state that is delusional. White supremacy is a delusion. It's a machination. It's a creation of Europeans that they created in the latter part of the 19th century. So this delusional attitude, this delusional white supremacist construct, has led to the annihilation and genocide of millions of people, their dispossession from their lands, the establishment of nation states that are propositioned and premised on war, on the threat of war or on actual war. We are dealing with a capitalist system that thrives off of the surplus value of the working class, that controls our lives and has reduced us to mere consumers. And at the same time we're dealing with this, the world is changing. The planet is threatened with global warming, and the weather and the threats against humanity have never been at all-time high like they are now, and it's going to get worse. And so we're confronted with nation states that represent corporations and finance capital, and it doesn't represent the rights or the needs of people for self-determination. So this is a really this is a very frightening moment, and fascism threatens to rise. Straight up fascism is threatening us in this electoral season and for the foreseeable future, unless we can build a mass base, a national united front that's allied with international movements and people's longing for peace and development, and to get out from under the auspices and the oppression of the capitalist elite that are running this world. So I said, well, let me put this call out, because at the same time we have all of these problems. There's opportunities here too. We have many movements that are struggling right now as we speak. We have people struggling to deal with the situation of homelessness, and the homeless, the marginalized people who have no future, no support network, no social network. We have organizations that are trying to mobilize and resuscitate unions, in working class unions, especially lower working class unions, where workers have no real rights, and they're struggling from paycheck to paycheck with non-livable minimum wage. We have women and gay and lesbian movements that are struggling for equality and civil rights right now, struggling against the different hierarchical oppressions of paternalism. So we have all of these movements, but they're unable to solidify their struggles, broaden their struggles, principally connect their struggles one to the other, and pose a united front against the forces of reaction, white supremacy, and fascism. And so I did this. I reached out to the three major alternate candidates on our side of the barricades, who are running for national office. And all of them are clear that their run for national office is to offer alternatives to the working people, to poor people, to those who are marginalized, to offer alternatives to the voting constituencies in poor communities, alternatives to the Democratic and Republican parties. And so these three campaigns, I directed my call for a united front. And the reason why I did, not because the united front should be uh, um, all about electoral politics, not because a united front against fascism and white supremacy should endorse one of the other of these campaigns, but because these three campaigns all share a common thread. They all have listed in their campaign information the same enemy, the same common enemy to freedom, to liberation, and to democracy. They all are running against the wind, so to speak, in this right wing reactionary climate that we're living in. And so I thought that it would be good to start with them, to give the call out for a united front to them, because if they could support the issue of a united front, of building a national united front, not a sectarian or a united front, not a united front led by personalities and rhetoric, but by organizations who got boots on the ground, who are trying to organize people where they are at and empower them. And so these three campaigns, when I analyzed them, all have something that they could offer, all have a feature of their unique campaign that could benefit a united front and people on a grassroots level. And it's the
Check this
same.
out. Yeah. No, that's cool. I ain't mean to cut you off, but I know we got limited time with our next guest.
Yeah. I know I went on for a long time. I'm sorry
You
about
was
that.
rapping. Yeah, you was rapping.
I didn't mean. I just wanted to clarify a number of
It's
things
all
because
good.
we've had questions thrown at us, Kalanji, about, well, this United Front, what it's about, just electoral politics,
Right on.
or what is it about? It's about this. It's just a Black nationalist United Front and all of these things. We've had these questions. And that is because I think a lot of folks have to go back to school and study and understand
Right.
what fascism is and how fascism comes into existence in the society and the threat that it represents to all of us. And I'm going to end with this. We've been there and did this before, but not in the type of extreme situation that we're in now. In 1969, the Black Panther Party called for a united front against fascism, called for a national anti-fascist united front. And 7,000 activists and members of different organizations showed up and answered this call. And the number of people that showed up in the different organizations that they represented indicated that consolidation of the left, consolidation of the new left, then the anti-war movement, the Black Power movement, the civil rights movement would empower and make us stronger, would give us a stronger voice on behalf of the voiceless. And so that's why we're here now. And that's why I'm glad that the sister Claudia answered and gave us some time, to come on and share with us how I know she's going to want to involve herself and her cadres and followers in building a mass national united front. And so that's why I'm very glad that the sister's here and that we could make it, even if it's for 30 minutes or an hour.
No doubt. So we appreciate you opening up. I know some people that don't know us, they probably like, how you gonna cut the OG off? Listen, man, don't come with that. This is what we do around here. This is Black Power Media, RSTV. Dhoruba, I appreciate you breaking it down because indeed we did get a whole lot of emails and text messages, folks thinking that we're looking for a savior, and that's totally not the case. We rumbling, we ain't rapping. For folks who are unfamiliar, Dhoruba Bin Wahad is a veteran Black Panther leader from New York, former political prisoner, and one of my OGs. We want to invite to the stage tonight, depending on where you are, Claudia De La Cruz, who, for those of you that don't know, is a presidential candidate. She hopped in the race along with her running mate, Karina Garcia, around I think it was September 7th, 2023. She's with the Party for Socialism and Liberation, PSL, which is a Marxist-Leninist party. And, we're happy to have her on. So without further ado, well, Claudia De La Cruz, what's happening? How you doing?
Well, Kalanji, how are you? It's good to be in conversation with you, Dhoruba. I've heard so much about you, and it's an honor. So I'm thankful for this conversation. And Kalanji, we already know you, so.
You already know me?
So what's
we
up?
can kick him to the curb. We can kick him to the curb and just let him keep dealing with the dials and stuff on the internet.
Sell me out as soon as you come up on the joint. I knew I should have voted for Robert Kennedy. Anyway, that's a joke.
Listen, you vote with your consciousness and your values. If that's where they're at, bro, you let the world know right now.
Whoa. Anyway, we'll start tonight.
Well, she cut to the chase.
She in New York. But anyway, definitely glad to have you on, Claudia. We did get a number of folks reaching out to us like, what about Claudia? Y'all forgot about Claudia. I'm like, man, I done text Claudia. I sent her an email. I sent her a message in a bottle. And you know what she did? Yeah. Claudia sent me, I love you, I respect you, but Claudia sent me to the campaign manager. I'm like, oh shit.
Well, you know what I was doing? In my defense, I gotta share, and I think it's important to the context that Dhoruba is sharing. We were organizing around the conference in Detroit around Palestine, and it is a historic conference. I don't think that there has been in record a conference that has brought together over 3,600 people from across the country to talk about the issue of Palestine and organize and talk about strategy for the next steps in the movement. And so I am sorry, but
that's
sometimes,
I ain't taking
watch out, you know?
Yeah, no doubt. No, but I'm happy Carla made it happen. Shout out to Carla and to your whole team for, for bringing you on today. It's a lot to unpack. We have a little bit of time. Of course, as you know, we've had Cornel, Dr. Cornel West and Dr. Jill Stein on, and we're definitely glad to have you on. We'll probably have a few more candidates because we have a number of different folks who are campaigning, knocking at the door now, you know what I'm saying? But we wanted to get down, as Dhoruba said, with three of the candidates that we know have been in some way, form, or fashion in touch with the grassroots. We know grassroots, that whole definition has changed over the years. So, it's a whole nother level, but definitely happy to have you on. You heard Dhoruba talk about the National United Front. Want to start off by asking, what are your thoughts? And is Claudia De La Cruz and Karina Garcia on board with what we're talking about? That's the first step before we even go any further. We don't want to, we don't even want to go no further. But just wanted your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the assessment that Dhoruba brings forth in terms of the current state of struggle and, where people are. And also the extreme disconnect between the so-called liberal and progressive forces, in quotation marks, of the ruling class with the working class and our material needs. There is definitely a big gap that people are starting to feel and people are starting to question in terms of the folks that are ruling this country and the majority of people that are being ruled by these people. So I appreciate the context that Dhoruba brings. I think it's important, and I'm going to approach this, as an educator, as an organizer, and as someone who never thought of running for the presidential office of this country. I think that we're coming into this, and when I say we, I mean the party, because it's beyond Karina Garcia and myself. We are both part of a political organization that is the Party for Socialism and Liberation. And as a Marxist-Leninist organization, we are under a discipline. And I think it's important to put forth, that we have in the 20 years of existence as the party engaged in unity. And so I just want to put that forth. There's been a lot of work that has been done at many different levels, at the grassroots, at the national level and at the international level. And the organization is now 20 years old. And I think that is a huge achievement, where we know that organizations that are Marxist, Leninist, and Socialist doing the work on the ground are constantly attacked. And we have been attacked to say that we've been around for 20 years. When we talk about unity, we struggle internally with maintaining the unity of the party. And we also struggle with maintaining the unity with coalitions and alliances that are built tactically. And so when we talk about unity, we understand that it's necessary. United fronts are necessary. Coalitions are necessary. Alliances are necessary. And we haven't been able to survive, and we haven't been able to operate without it. And so to the question of whether we are willing or not, we've always been willing. I mean, Dr. Jill Stein has participated in many of the events that we've organized. And she's been part, when the Ukraine war, which is really a proxy war against Russia, and the advancement of NATO in that region kicked off, she was one of the first people that came on and we were in conversation with. Cornel West has participated in a lot of our spaces. We respect and, are in conversation with them in a very comradely manner. With that being said, I think it's important to say that, again, when we talk about United Front, it's important to know the history. I was really glad to be able to tune in this earlier today to hear Dhoruba and Jared's show, and talking about the United Front and talking about the history of it and why the necessity to call for one today. And I really appreciated the fact that he said it was beyond electoralism. And that kind of settled me, because as an organization, all we have ever done has been beyond electoralism, because we understand that electoral politics in this country is rigged, that it was precisely created to maintain the system as it is. And so we are significantly different in that way to the other comrades that are running. We are not here trying to, reform capitalism or work with capitalism or sustain capitalism, not saying that they are, but we are explicitly socialists, which means that we're not only saying capitalism is wrong, genocide is wrong, we're saying socialism is the solution. And there's a significant difference there. We're utilizing the electoral arena to be able to uplift the contradictions of the capitalist U.S. imperialist system. We are conducting mass education. We have the ability to say that we are represented as a party in over 92 cities of this country, and that we have comrades that are working day in and day out in their communities in different fronts of struggle, be it student organizing, labor, against police brutality and mass incarceration, against U.S. imperialist war. These are our comrades, folks that have come into the organization because there is a political line, because there is a political program. And so we are, again, struggling to maintain that unity in the context of building tactical and strategic unity with other organizations. I think that there isn't necessarily a crisis of unity amongst the three electoral candidates from the left right now, or we don't proclaim to be the only anti-genocide campaign. We don't proclaim to be the only pro-worker campaign. We don't proclaim to be, the ones that are for the saving the planet, but we are anti-imperialist, which means that we don't only take sides on one genocide. We are against U.S. imperialist war, colonialism, and the genocides that are happening across the globe. We're not talking about, when we say we're pro-worker, we're saying we're anti-capitalist, and that socialism actually provides a program, a plan to be able to move forward. So we utilize this electoral process to be able to deepen the class consciousness of our people. And so we are under no pretense that the revolution will happen through electoral politics. However, we do understand that that is a way of intervening so that our people are able to, like I said, Kalanji earlier, give our people the option to vote with their consciousness, vote with their ideas, and register their discontent and their disengagement with the corporate duopoly by providing an alternative. I don't think it's a crisis that there's 3 different campaigns. In fact, I think that that's good. And I think that there should be even more. Like if you go to Venezuela, there's 27 different parties that run in the Venezuelan elections. Like that's democracy. That's popular democracy. I think that what we are tasked with on our end is to be able to build the strength of our communities, to build the confidence of our working class, to understand that politics goes beyond electoralism, that it's a matter of building power, mobilizing the masses of people, building a political instrument of our class that is politically and ideologically clear. Because another thing within history is that there have been a lot of united fronts and coalitions that have been created, but the dismantling of those projects have been not only the attacks by the state, but also the lack of political clarity in those spaces. And so we need to be really clear politically on what our vision is, what our strategy is, and also, again, unity based on principle and strategy, not unity for unity's sake. All that to say, unity is important. Building a united front is important. Doing it with a sense beyond electoralism and beyond presidential candidacies. Doing it in the sense of connected to, but not determined by, if that makes any sense.
No doubt. And we are definitely happy that you clarified the position. And like you, we understand that electoral politics is a tool. And we know that we're going to utilize whatever tools necessary for victory within the context. And that's part of the reason why, we invited you all on, because we're recognizing that too. And for the record, just like you stated a little earlier, for folks who still don't get it, no, we're not expecting Dr. West, Dr. Stein, Claudia, and anyone else to lead what it is when we're talking about our people's liberation movement through electoral politics. But we understand that a tool is good for what it's worth. We're not going to get a jackhammer to put a nail in the wall, but at the same time, it serves a purpose. You know what I mean? So we understand that electoral politics with the masses, it serves a purpose. I want to ask you, for one, you mentioned the PSL, and I know that there are folks out there who are unfamiliar. If you could briefly give us you said the PSL started, I believe, in 2004, same year organization started. What is, who are some of the founders, and what, you pretty much kind of define what PSL is about, but give us a little bit of purpose, a synopsis of where it stemmed from, so on and so forth, because of the fact that indeed, when you don't ask the players, you get definitions from all walks of life. And there's been, a number of different folks that was like, okay, the PSL is about this and they're about that, so on and so forth. And, so I want to hear from Claudia De La Cruz what the PSL is. And we'll pass the joint to Dhoruba, because I know he wants to kind of address some more things around this whole United Front.
So the Party for Socialism and Liberation was, founded in 2004. I wasn't part of the founding members, but I was an organizer that was a friend of the party for many years. So when I talk about the alliances that are being built, I'm an example in many ways in the communities that I was engaged in, both nationally, locally, and internationally, in terms of that relationship and alliance and partnership with the party. The party is a Marxist-Leninist organization, and is a cadre organization. We believe that folks that come into the party must agree to the political line of the party and must be engaged in struggle. They need to be able to be engaged in struggle. We understand that political education is key, and understanding our political line is key as well, because ideology is important, because ideological deficiency in a lot of ways allows for the interventions of our enemy in our organizations. And so we do a lot of political education. Folks are engaged in organizing in a candidacy that lasts almost 9 months. And then folks are received after they find, and we find that it's the right fit, folks come in. As I mentioned, we are represented in over 92 cities across the country. We are engaged in many different fronts of struggle, from, again, work around police brutality, mass incarceration, to campaigns against U.S. imperialism, to you name it, housing. And we are very much embedded in our communities, doing the work day in and day out. We have been running socialist candidates, I believe, since 2016. And we understand that, again, it's necessary to intervene in the electoral arena to be able to build the forces as well. Yes, we give an alternative to those who are in discontent with the corporate duopoly, but we also invite people to engage in struggle, to engage in building the party and the independent movement of working class people. I saw someone asked, this is the electoral process just for visibility. Somebody asked, so I'm assuming they're asking whether the campaign is only about visibility. It's not only about visibility, it's about building the forces behind what a political party is that allows us to gain power. We want both things. We want feet on the ground doing the work, and we want to be able to have the force in the political arena. And so we've been engaged in that work for 20 years. We are a party of working class people who work in different sectors, as teachers, as Amazon workers, you name it, who take out of their time to volunteer to building the political party. And Karina and I have had the greatest honor of visiting a lot of the cities in which our comrades are, and being a witness of the strength and the depth of their work. And that's why I speak so confidently in the need to be able to do both things. Electoral politics alone is not what will save us. It has never been. Struggle and organized people have made the changes in advanced society as they have. And so we're doing this to build an independent movement of the working class and to build the political instrument that folks are not only represented, but they could participate in as well.
Dhoruba, you want to tap in?
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that from the sister about the PSL. It's a cadre organization, and therefore it has to subject itself to consistently to self-discipline and political education. It has to develop its party line as well as its mass line so that it could effectuate changes on the ground in the community around the issues of socialist construction. Getting people to understand, as one of the people in the chat pointed out, that capitalism is not going to be reformed. It's not going to be voted out of power. And so we have to build a type of relationship between mass struggle and mass resistance that the equation will tip. We know from history that a revolutionary condition exists when there's certain material conditions, when there's certain conditions between the reality of the masses of working people, their relationship to the power structure, its weakness and its strengths, the ability for organizers to take advantage of that. And we see that minority organizations, small organizations inside of that particular paradigm can end up being the leadership of the change, just because they're organized. And that thing that what the sister was pointing out, I got kind of nostalgic there for a minute, because the Black Panther Party was a cadre organization, and the Black Panther Party had a mass line and a party in a party line, and that we had to be actively carrying out the party line and the mass line. We couldn't just be sitting around talking to each other or selling newspapers. We had to get out into the streets, and we had to organize people around the principles of socialism, around the principles of liberation that would free them from the ideology and the power of the status quo. So I just want to say to Claudia, everyone told me about the PSL and how avidly how avid your organizers are in the community, how they put in work, and everybody says this, and so I just want to say I'm glad that you and your organization understand the limitations of a united front and understand the power that it could wield, and how I think a cadre organization like yourself, and perhaps there's others out there as well, are very much needed in a united front. Because if we want to talk about the direction of a united front, and even towards a building over the next 4 years, using this front as a basis, or to evolve as a basis for a third political party, for a mass political working class party, we know that if that happens in this struggle, it has to have a socialist and a socialist thrust and mass line. It has to talk about freeing labor. Freeing labor from the monopoly capitalists. It has to do that, and I think when you organize in the streets and people understand what the principle of socialism means on a daily basis, when they understand that the corporations are getting, there's corporate socialism under finance capital, under monopoly capital, because the capitalists.
Not to cut your bill, but I want to address this question that's on the screen right now. I think this particular individual may have missed the last episode where we discussed the whole thing about whether Claudia Jill or Cornel's campaign, and the fact that we're not just saying that they're close in politics, but how are we addressing it and what the purpose of it is. So if you don't mind addressing that real quick before Claudia hops off.
Is this the Josie Breck?
Dazette Atkinson. I can't. It's right on the screen right now. It says, "I don't see a difference between Claudia Jill or Cornel's campaign, and is this about uniting the left? Like two people drop out and support one party, or is this about uniting people?" I think that they may have missed when we talked.
Which one was this? Dollar sign SZB?
No. It's on the screen right now. Dazette Atkinson.
Okay.
You might can't see it from your screen.
Okay. Now, superficially, addressing the first part of her question, could you leave that up there for a second, though, so I could try to, yeah. Superficially, from looking from the outside in, if we don't understand the nuances of mass movements and struggles, we could say that if we could look at their campaigns and say that they all for working class empowerment, that they all are talking about decent housing and affordable housing for people, that they're all talking about minimum wage changes and all of these things that are transitory towards a more revolutionary agenda. So on superficially, I guess we could say they're all on the same side of the barricades, and I don't think one of, and as Claudia pointed out, when Ukraine jumped off, the first person that she started talking to was Jill Stein, and so the idea of imperialism and the U.S. role in NATO and how that came about, obviously. Jill Stein and Claudia and her organization were on the same page and understanding that they needed to have a collective voice, that we needed a collective voice. I don't think that we are talking about dissolving one campaign over the other. I think Claudia made it very clear what the purpose of of her candidacy was. It's an expression of their mass line, of their organization's mass line to develop socialist consciousness and socialist instruments of community control and power. And I think Jill Stein made it very clear what the Green Party was about and what they were pushing for. My position, and me and you talked about this a lot, Kalanji, is that we are blessed to have this diversity. We are blessed to have this because a united front is not about uniformity; it's about unity, and we could, we just have to maximize our strategies and our tactics. For instance, Claudia is talking about how her organization moves around the principles of socialist construction and organization and principles. Now, of course, in the United Front, there may be organizations that come into the United Front that don't even know about the PSL's organization and how they deal with workers and how they deal with unions and how they understand unions and how they want to empower unions. And so what that, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. So what that means is that this organization might become a socialist itself. It might start developing socialist views and adapt socialist means of mechanisms of organization. So what I'm trying to say is that each organization that comes into the United Front, and I know Claudia understands this, each organization that comes into the United Front, although they come in doing work around their particular line and their particular area of struggle, that the United Front amplifies that work. It spreads that work around. So when it's like, for instance, if we had a strong United Front and we decided to close the country down on a boycott on one day to flex our muscles, you see, every aspect of our organ or the United Front would be represented in this boycott. Every aspect of them, the ones that's organizing tenants, the tenants will stop paying rent for that day or whatever the case may be for that month. So what I'm trying to say is there's a unique opportunity here, I do have an affinity towards Claudia's organization. Like I said, I came out the Panther Party and I came out of a cadre organization, and I relate to that type of discipline and that type of revolutionary approach to anti-capitalist revolutionary approach. But having said that,
a few more minutes. Let her jump in real quick because.
But what I'm saying is, having said that, I wouldn't, and I think Claudia pointed that out. On the way towards the revolutionary showdown with capitalism, we have to build up our forces. We have to build our strengths. We have to build our roots in the community. And that's done through alliances. That's done through working with other people. That's done with bringing other people into the struggle. And right now is an educational moment because we had thousands of students that were beaten and brutalized by the police because they stood against genocide, and it opened up their eyes. And Claudia knows, and I'm going to end here. Claudia knows that a year ago, making the distinction between Zionism and anti-Semitism would have been a struggle. Today it's a wrap. Today it's a wrap.
That's right.
Today it's a wrap. So I'm saying that's a result. That means we have an educational moment here. There's an opportunity here. And that's why the United Front is important, to give these kids an opportunity to get in where they could fit in and mobilize and keep them engaged in the future struggles. Because we know that whatever happens this election year, the struggle is not going to end here. And it's it's going to get worse if it's going to do anything. It's not going to get better. And so we need to have a stronger base.
I think I wanted to jump in just to give an example about the importance of political organization. I think we have lived in a moment, like we're living in a society where political organizations like the Black Panther Party and many others that came before were very intentionally destroyed by the state. And they were destroyed because they were in organized struggle, not individuals, not celebrities. people that were under discipline, organizing in communities, responding to the needs, and with a socialist vision of what needs to happen in this country. And we need to be reminded of that. And the example that I wanted to bring up is that as a political party, we've always been at the very core and at the forefront of our work, anti-imperialist. What does that mean? That Palestine has always been at the center of our work. When people weren't out there in solidarity with Palestine during the different intifadas and the attacks of Israel and the United States against Palestinians, we were one of the few voices out there introducing to people the need to talk about Palestine in relationship to the Iraq war, in relationship to the many different attacks to the different states in the Middle East by the Israel colonial state. And so now, because we have such a clear line on that, as people agree to that when they come into the party, this is something that you know and you understand. And so when October 7th happened, we didn't have to call our people and tell them what the political line was. They were very clear on what the political line of Palestine. We support the total liberation of the Palestinian people. And we were out in the streets on October 8th, when people were still trying to figure out whether they were going to get on it or not. When people were talking about, well, you have to see two sides of the story. We were with people, with organizations that we have developed an alliance with and a relationship with in support of them as Palestinian groups. And we continue to have that relationship. But I think it's important for us to build up this understanding that there's a need to build political organization. And the reason that we're running this campaign is to be able to let young people who have been told that the only way that they could possibly organize is through these NGOs, through these nonprofits that are not advancing revolution, telling them, no, actually, you could take that as a job. And if you want to do political organizing, there's political organizations that you can make your home. You do not have to be in isolation. You do not have to be by yourself. We could do this politically clear, committed, and embedded in community. It doesn't have to be the nonprofit world. And that's why we're running this campaign, because if we don't provide an alternative, then, the liberals that succumb to the Democrats and the Democrats that concede to the Trumps of the world will take that opportunity. And so we need to take every opportunity we have to uplift our socialist politics, our socialist values, our socialist idea, and our socialist construction. Thank you so much, Dhoruba, for saying it in that way. Our socialist construction, because that is the solution. That is the antithesis to the capitalist system. And so I appreciate you. I want to thank you for making this call. I think it's highly important for folks to understand that at the root of all of our problems is capitalism. And that we can't just oppose to things, we need to propose a political and economic system. And for us, that's socialism.
Give us parting words, Claudia. I know you have to run. You already told us that you got some stuff to do. But I have
mama duties, because I'm a mom too.
No doubt. So we're gonna let you get to the
Yeah. So I continue to see people saying, people that will actually win. It depends on what you think winning is. If winning for you is reforming capitalism, then that's you. If winning for you is being engaged politically every day and working towards deepening the consciousness of working class people to understand that we need to end capitalism, that we need to end and end U.S. empire as it affects us here and as it affects people outside. If we are committed to doing that work, it's not only about a vote. It's about actually rolling up your sleeves and touching grass and doing the work that you need to do so that our people understand that we are the majority, that we produce everything in the world and we deserve it all. And so if we're down to do that, then there are options. And we as a campaign are promoting that work as an option for people who actually truly want to engage in organizing day to day and advancing working class struggles in this country and in solidarity with people internationally. I want to say thank you again. We are in this socialist construction together, from here to the continent of Africa, that some people think is a country, but is a continent, and we got to let it be known. We're working for that Pan-African socialism. There are people rebelling, revolting out there, and we are in solidarity with them as well. Thank you, Dhoruba, for the call. Thank you, Kalonji, for setting up the stage and the space. And I would love to be in continuing the conversation.
No doubt, will do. Thank you for coming through, Claudia. We'll talk to you soon.
Peace,
appreciate
y'all.
you, Sister Love. You take care of yourself and keep on keeping on. Power to the people.
No doubt, no doubt. That was Claudia De La Cruz. She like, look, I got some things to do. I got to take care of these babies, and we understand that. So, Drew, before we go, we notice a number of different people that's still not getting it. You got some folks still jumping up and down saying we need to organize in the streets, so on and so forth, as if we are pro-electoral politics. I don't know where they've been the last several decades, half century plus. But we are not endorsing.
Don't mind them, man.
Okay, cool.
You got to understand. I mean, when I say don't mind them, I mean, everybody will get a hold of it when the guns is drawn. Once the guns is drawn, everybody gonna get instant clarity. You see what I'm saying? I think Claudia pointed out that her organization, PSL, is dedicated to organizing in the grassroots towards a socialist outcome. And I think you and I know that a united front, when it struggles, when it's united, when alliances, there's organizations that'll come in and drop out for various reasons. There's other organizations that will grow as a result of the United Front. But most of all, the center of gravity of the United Front will be determined by the most effective organization within that front, of that front. So for instance, if there's a contingent of organizations, let's just say they're locked on some capitalist entrepreneurial stuff, and they join the front because they think there's a lack of equal opportunity for minority businessmen, and that's why they're in the front. That's a complete opposite of what Claudia was talking about, an organization of socialists. Organizing socialism as the basis for anti-capitalist development, because we're not going to develop out with that entrepreneurial, in my view, stand. But does that mean we don't allow them into the front? Does that mean we don't allow them to find out in real time what it's really about? Because in that struggle with the front, they're going to find out what capitalism is really about. If they thought it was like 50 Cent thought it was about getting more black folks to sell liquor, you understand, and getting the license, they'll get disavowed of that real quick when the finance capitalists and the war machine comes down on their ass, because what they're talking about ain't making no profits for them and is not ensuring their continued rule and power. We need to understand, I'm going to end here, we need to understand too, Kalonji, that there's a history that's going down in this country. If we remember the anti-Wall Street movement, the so-called Wall Street movement that set fire around the world, this was one of the most blatant and one of the first most blatant mass anti-capitalist movements that I had seen in my lifetime. And it came and it went. Why? Because it lacked the type of clarity, it lacked the type of organizational discipline that Claudia was talking about. It lacked that type of leadership. It lacked that type of that center of gravity. Nobody wanted to be considered a leader. Nobody wanted to step on anybody else's toes. Nobody wanted to mimic the status quo in terms of its style, in terms of its organization. So the enemy moved in, they encapsulated the movement, they destroyed, you remember, I would think was it Obama who called together all of the mayors and governors together and figured out how we're going to squash this Wall Street movement? And the Wall Street movement, if you remember, all of their propaganda identified the oligarchy. They talked about the 1% and 3% of the United States that own the wealth and control workers. You had housewives from suburbia in the Wall Street movement. But where did it go? What happened?
Right.
Yeah.
It
disappeared, and it was repressed, as Claudia pointed out, and I think it was repressed precisely because it didn't have the type of discipline and the type of focus that the PSL had. And so I just want to say that. I just want to say that the United Front is going to, in the course of struggle, is going to gravitate towards the most revolutionary and the most progressive tendency within that front, because that's the only one that's going to benefit the front, and that's going to bring people in and liberate people.
I want to clarify too, because I think that some of the folks, we just going to touch on a couple of things before we tap out. We probably hang out for a few more minutes if that's cool. I think that one of the things that, there have been a number of folks who have signed on to this United Front who are not into electoral politics. Let me start with that. Everything from OGs and veterans to grassroots movement folks, so on and so forth. And for the most part, most people are clear that we're not talking about our own individual ideologies. We're not talking about individualism. We're not talking about let's just put this at the forefront of the program because I think it's cool. I think it's cute. We're talking about critical political action. We're talking about bringing on not just a campaign, but strategies that can ultimately dismantle and chip away at imperialism, at capitalism, at Zionism, etc. Not just about our own egos. And I think that that's one of the hardest thing when you're talking about a united front for both individuals and organizations to grapple with. Because I think that one thing that capitalism has done such a great job at, one thing that imperialism has done such a great job at, is to be able to morph into whatever you want it to look like. You understand what I'm saying? It becomes and it transforms into whatever you're into. It's like a drug. It's like an addiction or whatever. It's like, oh, you into this? Then let me show you this. You understand? And I think that even folks who consider themselves liberators and organizers, they get caught up in the effects of capitalism because they're still looking at things through that particular lens. So I want to point out for folks that no, it's not just Dhoruba and I are going to be on the sideline talking about, we're going to lead this united front. No, we're talking about bringing in strategists. We're talking about bringing in veterans, serious organizers, and the key at the heart of it, besides the organization, is the political education, because I think that that's one of the things that that is slanted right now. I think it's like a seesaw. You got some folks who are caught up in old terms, and they're caught up in old visions and so on and so forth, and they're trying to remix not only the 60s, but they're trying to take it back 100, 150 years and try to operate, in this so-called new world with the same tactics. So I wanted you to kind of touch on that a little bit, because I think that we absolutely need clarity right now, because this is not about any individual, any organization. It's about our liberation, and it goes further than just the screen.
Well, I think that like we have one brother here that I think misconstrued what Claudia was saying. I think Claudia said the exact opposite. She said that you cannot, that we weren't talking about electoral politics or voting out capitalism, that you can't vote it out of power. But the brothers seem to be locked on something talking about you can't vote your way out the system. I don't vote myself.
Neither do I.
And so you're talking to the wrong person if you think that I'm advocating that somehow we're going to have a kumbaya moment and we're going to vote ourselves out of this situation. If y'all have read anything that I have written, and especially in the last part, the stuff that I have written in the Black Agenda report about militarization of police, it's clear to me, and because I'm old school, that political power goes out of the barrel of a gun, and that you could, all you folks out there who think that, oh my God, he's talking about violence, he's talking about this, you need to understand that if we don't organize our communities so that we could defend ourselves against these white supremacists in this European nation state as it begins to disintegrate, that we could hold our own, that we could hold them accountable. If we think we're going to do this by ourselves, you're crazy. If you think that black power is going to, if you think the reparations is going to jump off in this country because white folks all of a sudden got a conscience and said, yeah, let's kick them Negroes some money, man, because we did them wrong, you're crazy. If you think any of this stuff is going to come about without the understanding that there has to be a democratic distribution of the pain, and without a democratic distribution of the pain, these white folks, these racists, these white supremacists do not understand anything. They don't want to hear anything we're talking about. So if you think that I'm down with it all calling for a united front because I'm trying to vote, I'm trying to vote capitalism out of power, you got it twisted.
All the way.
I understand all the way you got it twisted. That we have to organize in our communities for survival. We have to organize grassroots and survival. And I think Kalonji and I, if we have any emphasis in this united front, it's about reining in the militarized police. It's about decertifying their unions. It's about bringing down the influence of Zionist money on black leaders. It's about calling out class struggle against the black comprador class. This is what we're talking about. And so now I know decidedly that in this united front, we'll probably be a minority voice.
Of course.
Okay. But that's okay, because when the guns is drawn, that's when all of a sudden they say, brother, what do you got to say about this? Because we trapped in this church right now and we surrounded by these fascists. What are we going to do?
Right.
What can you do if you ain't got the right artillery and you ain't ready to blast your way out of there? These crackers are gonna kill you.
Right. And I want to point out as well, because to your point, you get folks talking about, well, this organization did that and they said this. We don't give a fuck about none of that. That's not what we're talking about here. You know what I'm saying? We are revolutionary Pan-Africanists. We're talking about the liberation of our people. Now, we're not going to agree with everybody on the street. We're not going to be, in some cases, we wouldn't even agree with everybody in our organizations. We have comrades who, as I always point out, we might not be on the same page, but we damn sure got to be in the same book. You know what I'm saying? Some folks do more criticism than they do working. Okay. I don't have time to just criticize each and every organization. When you're bringing that to us, tell us about what you're doing. Tell us what organization are you with and what work you're putting in. Because if not, it sounds like the sidetracking of the slave. All that shit sound good, but in the grand scheme of things, let us know what you're doing. Tell us how you can get to work. And if you're talking about organizing in the streets and you're talking about Dhoruba Bin Wahad or Kalonji Changa, and you don't already know where we come from, then you ain't been on the block long. You need to get up off these internet airwaves and check the stats, because I think that sometimes folks get it confused, and it's easy to do a tight buy, but it's much rougher to be out there in the mix and see what's really going on. So again, we thank all of you for coming on board, and hopefully we will win folks over who need to be won over. Because we are clear as well, when we're talking about the internet and we're talking about social media, we're not necessarily talking to everybody's not on the right side of the barricades. Let's just say that. You know what I mean? If you understand organizing, there's no way possible you're going to say that you expect everyone to think alike and everyone to move alike. If that was the case, then we wouldn't even need to organize, because everyone would already be on point. You know what I'm saying? That political education and that discipline plays a large role in it. So you don't have to worry about dismantling what we're doing here. As my uncle used to say, don't worry about the snake in the grass, worry about your own ass. Join in on the front, show us what show us what you got, and let's move from there. So Dhoruba, we will have we have a number of different guests that'll be coming on. Yes, we're having private meetings for folks who don't know, who feel like they need to know. No, we're not airing everything out, but we are calling for a national united front. We are calling for the masses of the people to get on board, because at this stage of the game, we're leaving no stones unturned. No, we don't think Dr. Cornel West, Dr. Jill Stein, Claudia, or anyone else is going to, run this thing with electoral politics, and they've made it clear themselves. So again, some people, their elevator gets stuck because we bring on certain types of guests, and they think that we're saying, like we're getting stuck at the ballot. Malcolm said it's the ballot or the bullet, and in some cases, it'll be the ballot and the bullet.
Yeah, so, I'm telling you. But I just want to say that all three of these candidates indicated and came out expressively in support of a united front. And none of them said that, well, I'm gonna throw my campaign out with the bathwater and join and lead a united front. None of them did that. None of them expect themselves to be outspoken leaders of the united front. But we should have a united front so that when if we need to talk about a baby care, we got organizations that deal with children in our front that can come out and give the same mass line that relates to the same demilitarization of the police, the same types of principles of anti-capitalist exploitation of working people, all of these things. So, a united front allows us to address every issue that is impinging on people's lives and address them from a principled point of view. And like we'll see in the final analysis, and I really believe this, that when the guns are drawn, we're going to see who's who on as Smitty used to say in the Black Panther Party, who's who on what level, you see. And so I don't think that we've slackened a bit. I'm very glad that all three candidates have indicated their support for a united front. And as Kalonji said, we've been meeting behind closed doors, and we anticipate in the coming weeks of being able to highlight a united front in other venues with other organizations, and in a way that we can begin to build a concrete front and put together an apparatus to administer this front, to put it into effect. I think that we can do this in a very short period of time, because time, as they say, as is said in the Quran, by the token of time, humanity is at loss. So we got to get moving, and because we already behind the time.
No doubt. With that in mind, you are what you know. You know what I'm saying? You are what you know. So we are moving along. Look out for make sure that you subscribe to our platform. You can see it scrolling at the bottom right about now. Make sure you subscribe to our platform on YouTube. Get involved if you want to learn more about the United Front Against Fascism. Make sure you join our email list, which right now is at blackpowermedia.org, blackpowermedia.org. Tap in. We have a few different things going on in different cities. We're looking forward to meeting some of you, struggling with some of you. We know some of you personally. We know the work that you're doing in the community. You don't even have to tell us, because of the fact that we're out there. You know what I mean? And we have people in different areas that are working, and it's not about any one particular organization or any one particular movement. We're looking at points of unity. No, we're not going to agree with everything that everyone that endorses the United Front has to say. We don't necessarily agree with everything we say to each other. You know what I'm saying? So it's about struggle. It's about liberation movement and moving forward. So we thank you all. Make sure that you subscribe. We are 1,000 subscribers away from 50K on this particular platform. We're closing up on 50,000 subscribers. Make sure you tap in with us. To our Patreons who've been supporting us, we appreciate you adding on to what it is we're doing. We have a number of different things coming up. This Saturday, we want to remind folks that right here on this platform, you can check out the memorial for one of our beautiful, strong warrior comrades, Sekou Odinga. We will be broadcasting his memorial services on this platform. We know that Sekou transitioned a few months back, and there'll be a number of different activities going on. But this Saturday, 6 p.m., make sure you tune in, subscribe now so you'll know, hit the notification bell. What else is coming up? We have a piece that the National Lawyers Guild and the National Coalition, I believe, for Black Lawyers will be putting together on Juneteenth. And that will be a panel situation where we get you that information. Make sure you tap into our social medias, Black Power Media, so that you can stay tuned. That particular piece will be live on Juneteenth. And part of it is we're looking to liberate some of our enslaved Africans who are still not free. You know what I mean? So stay tuned, stay in touch, and look for us in the whirlwind. Dhoruba, we'll wrap later on, brother.
All right, brother. Peace and power to the people, man.
Yeah. You've been checking out RSTV on Black Power Media. We will see you.
Life is a big organization. Life is all these events, your life, everything you go through is organized, whether you know it or not. If you think you're unorganized, then you just not aware of how you are organized in life. You might as well take it into your own hands and organize it how you see fit so things can run smoothly. It's never going, you see. Organizing is a key way to structurally move your plan forward into success. If you don't organize it, things will be in chaotic realms. They'll be going every which way, and you won't know how to handle it. You won't have a place to put it to where it can move in the way that you want it to. So, yeah.
Ancestor, ancestor, take my hand, ancestor, lead me on, ancestor, let me stand, ancestor, I get tired, ancestor, I get weak, my nose I get warm, ancestor, through the storm, ancestor, through the night, ancestor, lead me on, ancestor, through the light, ancestor, take my hand, ancestors, and lead me on. In my way grows drip. Ancestors, please linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call, take my hand, let's not fight.